government to understand that I think, again, I'm not sure what is.
Mr Chair.
The Honourable Jacqui Dean.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Chair. Members have raised a number of issues, so I will cover off a few of the issues that have been raised. The first, and it has been mentioned several times, is around the subjective nature of a public interest test. And I'd note that the public interest test is subjective of necessity because it simply involves judgment. So the inclusion in the bill of multiple criteria to be evaluated, such as quality, means that a purely objective public interest test is simply not realistic. So the reports outlining the recommendations to the Minister of Commerce will be made public at the end of the investigation. This will provide a great degree of transparency, a degree of clarity, and also signal and give future applicants an idea of how the public interest test will be conducted. Mr Chair, comments also around the nature of the public interest test not being weighted. I would say this: being too prescriptive and rather inflexible during the test could result in inconsistent and unintended outcomes. What seems sensible to one sector of the economy might be entirely inappropriate and not appropriate at all in another sector of the economy. There were comments around New Zealand's international reputation, and I'd say to that the public interest test simply allows the Minister to take into account of the wider competition and consumer effects of imposing a duty. The public interest test, as it's introduced into this bill, contains a presumption in favour of imposing duties and does not conflict with New Zealand's stance also against subsidies. Finally, just a comment was made, or a question, about what constitutes quality. The government has an entirely separate regime for dealing with quality control of imported goods. The anti-dumping and countervailing duties regime was never intended or envisaged to deal with issues relating to compliance with standards. That's an entirely different matter.
I'm going to call Ria Bond.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I rise on behalf of New Zealand First.